Morena, good morning and welcome to another RISE Ambassador on this beautiful month of October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so I'm really delighted to have some awesome women who are courageous, like this young woman. Jessica Weller is here with me this morning. Morena, Jess.
Morena, Rachel. How are you?
Ah, Kate Pie. And you, my friend, how are you?
Katie Pie. Amazing. Great. Thank you.
You're based at the moment, you're in the west of Auckland in Titirangi.
Yes, that's where I'm at the moment. Great. In the bush.
In the bush.
In the bush.
And the reason I've got Jess here as a RISE ambassador is for the moment that I met her, I knew that she was going to be a leader in what she wanted to share with the world and what the messages that she really wanted to get across in terms of her journey. And it's been a long journey, but it's also just really turned a corner in the last 6 months. I've seen Jess really go for it. And so Jess is the founder of the Weller Network, and I've seen her grow, I've seen her develop. And so on that note, Jess, I'm just going to let you talk a little bit about yourself before we get into the kōrero in the conversation.
Cool. Oh, what an amazing introduction. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a really interesting journey, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I couldn't imagine my life without the experiences that I've had in the last couple of years. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of what I've been through and how far I've come. So that's pretty awesome. So I guess I'm a small town girl. I was born in Wanganui, or Whanganui, and raised in Ohakuni in the centre of the North Island, and ended up going to Massey University in Wellington and doing a fashion design degree, and that led to not making it in the fashion industry, so I became a teacher. And used my skills to teach 11 and 12-year-olds how to sew, which had its challenges, but was the most amazing job. And it was amazing to be able to give back to young people and share my skills that I'd learnt. And I found my calling for a time as a teacher. A massive desire of mine was to travel the world, which is like many other young New Zealanders every year. And so I booked a one-way flight to London, and found myself in the UK, traveling extensively across Europe, and been in the best headspace of my life and been so incredibly happy. And this was back in 2013, and I was young and free-spirited and just looking forward to experiencing different cultures and having a great time. So 4 months into my visa, my breasts became unusually sore and hard, and I couldn't quite understand what was going on. It was just before my period, so I thought it might have been a bit of a life change, and I kind of just put it down to that. But over the space of a few days, I started noticing that things weren't quite as normal as they should be, which made alarm bells go off in my head. So I can remember the pain. It was so bad I could barely touch my boobs, and I couldn't lay on my stomach, and I used to sleep on my stomach, so that was really hard. And the pain didn't really go away. It kind of remained constant. And I can remember taking a few Panadols here and there just to make it a bit more bearable, and I'd never had pain like that. And I can remember being in the shower and looking down, and I don't know if many people look at their breasts, because I certainly don't remember ever really doing it. And I remember looking down, I was in the shower and looking at them, and the right one, the surface of it looked really normal, but the surface of the left one was really veiny. So if you look at the inside of your wrist, you can probably see kind of there how the skin's quite light and transparent, so you can see all the veins through it. So the whole surface of my left breast looked like. So it didn't feel right, didn't look right. When I squeezed the right one, it was soft and squishy, but the left one felt like it had a giant ball of gristle inside it. Now, that didn't feel like a lump to me. I thought a lump was meant to be like a pea or a marble on the surface of the skin, but this was on the inside, and it felt really odd. I can remember going to my friends, I was like, squeeze this one, and they'd be like, oh yeah, that feels all right, and then they'd squeeze the other one, and you could see the change in their face. So I knew that it wasn't right, and so did they. And that was that was really interesting to see their reaction. So I got to the GP pretty quick and got referred through hospitals and through to the hospital and diagnostic testing and stuff. And on the 10th of June 2013, I was diagnosed with an uncommon form of aggressive breast cancer, and it was already at stage 3 and moving into the lymphatic system. So I was told that I'd caught it relatively quickly, and I was told that I was lucky that I'd saved my life. So it was a pretty huge thing to happen. Being on the other side of the world, I was in London, and had to make decisions really quickly for myself.
Yeah. How old were you then, Jess?
How old was I then? I was 27. So just over a month before my 28th birthday. So pretty young. I didn't realise that I could get breast cancer at such a young age, and I had to learn a lot very fast. I had fertility treatment to take eggs, and I also asked for a psychologist because I'd had depression in the past, and I had strategies in place to ensure that that never came back. So I think at the time I was like, I'm in a good headspace. I want to keep that headspace as much as I possibly can, and being able to connect with a professional that's going to help me deal with the issues that are going to come up through this journey. Because you see people's cancer journeys in magazines and stuff, and it seems, and at that time I was confident that I could get through it, but it's the unknown. So I didn't, want to get lost in that unknown.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I was pretty proud of myself for asking for that fertility treatment. I managed to get 8 eggs saved, because I knew that there was a possibility that my fertility would be completely lost with chemotherapy. And because the cancer was so advanced and it was an aggressive subtype of breast cancer called HER2 positive, there was no way that I wasn't going to get away with having chemotherapy. So putting those strategies in place first was really important. So 8 rounds of chemotherapy started just before my 3 days before my 28th birthday. Had to cancel all my trips across Europe. I couldn't, had to cancel Turkey, Greece and Italy. And I can remember my friend that I was meant to go to Turkey with sending me the most incredible photo of Cappadocia, like the hot air balloons, on my birthday, and being like, I wish you were here.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting emotional. So that was pretty quite hard, to give up for a time, like what I was over there for and what I really wanted to be doing, but my life had to come first.
Yeah.
So I had to make those decisions. And 8 rounds of chemotherapy across 5 months. So it was pretty swift. I responded really well. The cancer shrunk from that 3 centimeters down to 0.8. So my surgeon was all about conservation. They removed the cancer with clear margins in January 2014. Then I had radiation in April 2014, and Herceptin, I had to have that for a whole year, so from October 13 to October 14, because that drug, HER2 positive breast cancer affects 25% of all breast cancer patients, and it particularly occurs especially in younger women. Well, aggressive subtypes of breast cancer occur in young women more often than postmenopausal women.
Yeah.
So yeah, that drug dampens down the receptors in the cells and stops the cells from reoccurring. So it's one of the worst breast cancers to get, but now it's one of the best because of the drugs that are able to treat it. So it's incredibly and yeah, through that whole time, worked full-time as a teacher, travelled extensively across Europe. I did not let this stop me, and that's a key message of what I say, this is survivable if you catch it early and you're able to treat it, but it doesn't stop you from living the life you truly want to live, and I'm living proof of that. And I think that I know that I've inspired women that have gone through this, and men as well, and just encouraging people to be onto their more aware of their body and their health. And so got involved in advocacy, worked for a breast cancer support charity in the UK called Copperfield, and with them volunteered and went out to schools and workplaces sharing our survivor stories. There are about 100 of us doing it. There's 100 women doing it now who've had either a diagnosis or a scare, and they're growing amazingly and doing awesome work. in the UK, and that led to spreading the self-checking message amongst young people and encouraging that. And that led to a TED talk and opportunities to get into the media back here in New Zealand. I got a full-page spread in the Sunday Star Times on Labour weekend of October 2014, which was incredible. And then ended up going to conferences in Dublin around breast cancer and connecting with people across America and in Europe that were working in this space. So that was the advocacy side of it. Came back to New Zealand, really wanted to do something, approached the cancer organisations here, and found that I wasn't going to get hired because I didn't have fundraising experience or administrative experience or medical qualifications, and that seemed to kind of be one of the key struggles at the time. Into going back to study, and it just didn't seem logical. You know, I've done a fashion design degree, I've done teaching, I'm a breast cancer survivor, I've got lived experience. I was like, that's enough. I don't need any more like qualifications. I can have other people support me in those areas. So that going down that path didn't work. That was like a block. So ended up stepping back, reassessing, and deciding to raise $16,000 through Give a Little and accessing grants through the government. And a couple of the cancer organisations here also supported me to go to conferences in America and Australia last year to gather information and resources to set up education programs for young New Zealanders around the prevention and awareness of cancer. I came back to New Zealand with all this amazing information and all these great connections that I'd made with amazing people trying to do or doing what I'm doing here in New Zealand, globally, like in the UK and America and Australia, and wasn't taken very seriously at all. And that was really disheartening and disappointing. And I, for a while there, was quite frustrated and angry at the lack of prevention and awareness education for young people, and just constantly started having conversations with people, survivors, and just networking and trying to figure out how best it was going to be able to move forward. And what ended up happening is I went to a conference, which was just this last weekend actually. It was so incredible, called Festival of the Future, and I went to that this time last year. And it was all about connecting, getting young New Zealanders together with great ideas. I mean, Guy Ryan's an incredible man with the Inspiring Stories Trust, who 100% believes that young New Zealanders have the ideas and the passion to change the world. So what if we unleashed every young New Zealander's potential to change the world? And that's what Festival for the Future was all about. And I was so pumped and so excited. And I knew that connecting with so many young people that cared so much about people in the world and making change, I knew that I had to keep going. So I ended up applying for Live the Dream, which is a social entrepreneurship accelerator, which is run over the summer. And that's where I set up the Weller Network, which is all about health and well-being and connecting with young New Zealanders to educate them about the prevention and awareness of cancer. And that led to opportunities. I ended up doing a pilot with the New Zealand Breast Cancer Foundation in May and June to encourage young people to get behind the Pink Ribbon Breakfast campaign and get into schools and share my story and, talk to these particularly young women and just encourage them to know what normal looks and feels like for them, so they're able to identify what isn't. I ended up getting into 34 schools across Auckland, spoke to 7,500 young people, and 700 of them came back to me and said, this is amazing, we need this information and it's going to save lives, so please keep going. Unfortunately, the Breast Cancer Foundation have decided not to continue it on, so that's something that I've taken on board, and I'm moving forward with this because I believe in it 100%, and I know that young people want it. So that's kind of where I'm at. Going to Festival for the Future at the weekend made me realise how much I've done in the last year, how many connections I've made, and how many people truly believe in me and what this means for the future of New Zealand in terms of health. And I'm so inspired to just keep going, and absolutely pumped to just keep going.
Yeah, and it is just, it is a testament to your resilience. I think that's what I'm hearing in that story, and also how collectives of young people are really, collectives of anyone actually, are really about how we create movement towards something that is not about the individual, it's about many, and it's about the collaboration, and it's about doing things that are a part of a higher purpose than ourselves.
Yeah, totally. And it's about having that conversation and supporting each other in creating change, because, you can't keep doing the same thing and expect things to change. And I think it's time for this to happen now. And it's been hanging around for too long. And, there are people out there that are really pushing the envelope, and I want to mail it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you have connected in with Guy and his collective, because it is an amazing initiative.
His mahi is so strong.
And his purpose is about others. It's about collectives, and once we can get our heads around not being about ourselves, that's when things really start to shift. And I've noticed that with all of the work that I've been doing with RISE and with women, full stop. So you have had you've had a global lifestyle, you've traveled a lot, you've come back to New Zealand now, and you did mention some of the challenges that you've had. In terms of leadership in this space that you're working in breast cancer, and working across different corporations, what do you see that is really positive, and where do you see we need to make some changes? And it's your view, Jess.
What do I see? What do I see that's really positive across the sector?
Yeah, in terms of leadership, this is about how people are leading in this it's an industry. It's a collective of a lot of organisations. What's really working in this space?
To be honest, I'm not very impressed with what's going on, and I've learned a lot recently. And I don't want to come from the negative perspective, but I think that I'm the kind of person that wants to encourage openness and collaboration and work with organisations. That's been my intention right from the get-go, and I'm still open to that. So I think that there's a lot of really positive stuff going on in the research space, and that's really going to be really beneficial long term for globally and in New Zealand, for people that are going to need drugs and better genetic testing and all those kind of things in the future. And there are a lot of healthcare professionals that are kind of starting to push the conversation in terms of education, prevention and awareness education, getting things way back before the edge of the cliff, and instead of just at the edge or at the bottom of the cliff, which is where most of the services are at the moment. And I really want to get back 100 or 200 meters before the edge, where there's not a lot happening. I think that in terms of leadership, I think people are stuck, and I think that they're almost scared to move forward, to make a change, to keep up with what's going on globally and look at things from a different perspective. Just looking at what's going on, I believe that a lot has been left up to the not-for-profits, and they really need to reach out to the community and to people like me to ask, what do you think? Let's have a conversation. Let's ask, how might we change things? How might we develop solutions to improve things? Because the statistics aren't improving, they're getting worse. And I think there's a lot to be done in that, because what I've found is that everything seems to be based on assumption. People are staying in their offices, sitting behind a computer, and they're not actually getting out there to connect with the communities. And that's a big part of what I want to do and change and show that that's the way to go, because without the opinion of the people affected directly by cancer or whatever else anyone's doing, the change won't take place. And it scares me that people in positions of power in the leadership in some of these organisations and in this sector aren't open to collaboration and working together to push forward.
Yeah, and that's what I love about your approach. I mean, you're still very open to those conversations, but you know that those things aren't moving at the, I'm not talking about pace, but they're not moving in the right direction. And it's been like that for a little while. And, you know, it's not about being negative, it's about being real. It's about being...
and I think, you know, honesty is also one of my core values. So for the Weller Network, our core values are honesty and truth, a healthy conversation, so supporting them and stimulating them and encouraging them, collaboration, working together, and connecting. So connecting with everyone and anyone we can who wants to work within the space, but who's affected by the challenges that in this space as well. So incredibly holistic, and that's in my strategy, and that's how I'm aligning myself with other organisations who feel the same, especially in the social entrepreneurship space.
Yes, so tell us more about the Weller Network. So the Weller Network is something that you founded, and it was from your association with Live the Dream. That's how it came about. So tell us more about that, so people can contact you about what you are about.
Oh wow! So the Weller Network is has been established to educate young New Zealanders about the prevention and awareness of cancer, and it's just been, you know, my whole journey from getting diagnosed with cancer, having to learn a lot of information very quickly to save my life, and then stepping back and going, okay, I'm okay now, I'm alive. What could or should have been put in place to help support me at the beginning of this journey? And it's looking at that and going, wow, there are so many gaps. How do we appropriately start the conversation around cancer to reduce the fear of it? Because like when I was in the UK, Cancer Research UK says that cancer is the biggest fear of the British public, and I'm pretty sure that that's a global you know, statistic. But in the UK, it was ahead of things like knife crime and Alzheimer's and going bankrupt. Well, cancer is pretty preventable if you look after your body right and you know, reduce your stress levels and you know, all these lifestyle factors that you can in your environment and things you can change. So yeah, what else? It's basically I want to get to young people, and because breast health is what I know, starting with breast health in girls' high schools in 2017. So essentially I go in and I have a PowerPoint presentation and I deliver that, and it takes about 20 to 30 minutes in either year level assemblies or health curriculum classes.
Okay.
And then afterwards, after the presentation's finished, the students are able to ask questions, which is where I'm able to debunk myths, because there's a lot of information out there regarding the disease, and either put them in connection with the right information, redirect them back to my website, where I'll have a number of FAQs already you know, listed for them to look at. And that's where the key learning happens, because they're able to, and I'm able to open myself up and they can ask me absolutely anything. So it's stimulating that conversation and encouraging them to go home, and this is all a part of the Weller Network is all about wellness, but it's also about connecting and collaborating and working together and supporting the healthy conversations that can save lives. So I want those students to go home and feel empowered to talk to mum and ask her if she's up to date with her mammograms, or talk to dad and make sure that he's up to date with his health checks, prostate checks, things like and like stimulating that conversation outside where they've seen me. So I want that message to continue to go further. So, and I want to be able to support those conversations. One of the most amazing things about the pilot and the journey that I've come on so far is connecting with people and having conversations and hearing their feedback and listening to them and understanding what they want and need. And, you know, when a teacher comes up to me and says, you know, what you're doing is incredible, because we've got these young people here, mainly Pacifica and Māori, out in South Auckland in a girls' Catholic school. And the teacher comes up to me and says, you're opening up a conversation of support for these students to come to us when somebody in their family gets diagnosed, because there is so much shame around the disease, cancer, but breast cancer particularly. Wow. And that really hit home for me, because I was like, wow, that's something that I really want to encourage. I don't want these people, or young people, or people in general, to feel like they have to be ashamed of something that's going on in their life and they can't reach out for support. So things like that have happened, and I'm like, wow, this is a lot more than just telling people to know what normal looks and feels like for them. They can identify what isn't.
So who would you like to partner with if you had a sort of a wish list? If we fast forward, Jess, and let's be really proactive about this.
Okay.
Put that message out there, and you're delivering these you know, these amazing talks into schools, primary schools. Who would you want to partner with?
Organisations that really align with my values and the health messages of what I'm doing, and and want to see long-term health behaviours for their customers and clients that they're supporting as well with their products. So insurance companies are one, you know, encouraging young women, especially at corporate level, to invest in health and medical insurance, because that's something that I can't get now because I've had a life-threatening diagnosis, and I'm a flight risk, so the insurance companies won't cover me, not for cancer. And that's a scary thought, because, you know, if I would have known that I was going to get this, I probably would have invested and gone and got it. So those kind of people. And then, you know, sustainable companies and eco-friendly companies and organic companies that are putting products out, particularly for young people to invest and use. So Organic Initiative, one that I've been in talks with and have spoken to, with their organic sanitary products, which, you know, that's a very sacred place for women, and we need to look after that area, and using organic products that aren't going to harm your health, that aren't full of toxic chemicals, is really, really important. So yeah, aligning myself with companies like that too.
Great. And I think we need to, you know, say those things about, you know, who we really want to be partnering with. I think the values are important. Insurance companies, but I also think there are government ministerial kinds of connections that you will need to make sure that this is sustainable and successful in that network of young minds and young people. So as we wrap up this interview, Jess, what do you really want to leave with our listeners? And so what I've really gathered from our conversation is that, you know, you've been through you know, a journey. It's resulted in you really finding what you're passionate about, and now starting the Weller Network, which is really about getting out into, especially in New Zealand first, who knows, the rest of the world later. Talking
baby steps.
Talking to young people about prevention, getting them to have conversations, courageous conversations, not only with each other but with families, and then really it's the partnerships and the collaboration. What are the key messages that you want to leave our listeners with today?
Wow, so I guess when it comes to your body, know what normal looks and feels like for you, so you're able to identify what isn't. And if you're not sure about something, trust your intuition and make sure that you talk to somebody that you trust that can then support you to go to your GP or your doctor and get it checked out. Okay, don't leave it too long so it does end up becoming normal over a period of time, because that happens a lot. And please do not be told that you're too young. This happens way too often, and I know a number of people that have been to their doctor, trusted that it's nothing, and then gone back more than once and then been diagnosed with advanced cancer. So know what normal is for you so you're able to identify what isn't. Look after your health and body, reduce your stress levels, spend time with people that make you feel good and feel loved and encourage your dreams and what you're doing. Make sure you get plenty of sleep, and that's one of the things that I need to take my own advice on that one. And yeah, just believe in your vision and know that what you're doing is going to make real change in the lives of other people. And if you believe in it, other people will believe in it too, and that's where you'll find the most support. And you know what? I've been through so many mental struggles with this. You know, self-doubt is the one thing that pulls you away from self-belief. So it's stimulating your mind enough to be on the self-belief side of the coin, not the self-doubt one. I think that's something, you know, your mental health is really important. I've done a lot of work with a therapist in the last year to be able to process some of the things that have happened throughout my life. And, you know, cancer isn't the only thing that I've experienced that's been difficult. And that too is where that resilience comes from. So, you know, looking at your life and going, okay, what are the things that I've been through that I can take the lessons from, and how can I apply them to my life now in a positive light and move forwards? Because the only way is forwards. But if you've got that self-doubt pulling you, then it's going to be more difficult.
Yeah. And I agree with you. That voice that can stop you from moving forward and keeping you stuck can be one of the most detrimental things to us as men and women, but I do see it a lot more in women, I must be honest.
Yeah. I think your mental health is so important, and I think that there's such a stigma around mental health. We all have mental health, like, you know, so we need to like nurture that and look after ourselves and look after our minds, and you know, listen to our thoughts and know and question our thoughts and say, is that true? Well, no, it's not. You're being silly. Like, come on. And self-encouragement and all those kind of things. Like, I've learned so much about my own thoughts just by sitting and listening. And I think journaling is really helpful, getting things out of your system on paper and then talking about them with somebody impartial. And I really rate seeing a professional to help you come up with strategies to be able to improve your mental health. And I'm really behind quite a lot of people in this country that are stimulating the conversation around mental health as well. So see, that's another link. That's another part of the reason why I've started the Weller Network, is to, you know, engage in some of these other conversations outside cancer education and reach out and see what other people are doing and what are their strategies to get their message across, and supporting them too, because I've been affected by mental health in the past. So yeah.
And I think, you know, professionals and seeking professional help in anything is totally normal. And, you know, I would really encourage people, therapists, I know, have a great result in terms of taking you back into your past and dealing with some of that. But I'd also encourage people that also is around getting professional coaching. And in wellness, in, you know, starting businesses, because that's really about moving forward. And as a coach, I have to put my 2 cents or 10 cents worth in there and say,
Totally.
Invest in yourself, invest in your, mind, body, and soul, and bring all of that together. But I'd like to thank you, Jess, for sharing all of your wisdom, all of your journey, being really open and honest, because I know that is part of who you are.
Yes.
And how will people get in contact with you, Jess? What's the best?
You can get in touch with me. My email address is jess@thewellernetwork.com. You can contact me via phone. My cell phone number is, if you go, country code is 64211732-800. And you can connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Weller Network. And I would love to hear from you. Please get in touch. If you think that you can contribute to what I'm doing, I would love to hear from you, or how I might collaborate with something that you're doing. Sharing is caring, and working together towards a common good is 100% what I'm all about. So thank you so much, Rachel. I really appreciate this opportunity and this platform to connect with other amazing humans out there, and particularly women. And thank you for everything that you're doing to inspire and motivate women to step up. I think it's incredible, and much aroha to you. Thank you so much.
Ngā mihi nui kia koe, Jess. It's been a really, it's been really insightful, and I've learned something new this morning, which, I think is always.
That's awesome. Yes.
It's what it's all about as well. So on that note, I'm going to let you go and enjoy your day. And I know that this month, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, is going to be huge for you and many others. And we'll be inviting some other women along to share their journeys and stories. So we look forward to sharing your journey with the world. Thanks, Jess.
Thank you so much.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.